Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. Super excited to have my friend and colleague, Nakia Sanford, Regional Vice President of Primerica, with us today. Nakia, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm doing amazing, Ryan. I'm so excited to be on with you today.
Well, I appreciate you taking time. You and I were chatting on air, and that could be a separate podcast in itself.
I'm glad you weren't recording that one.
No, we don't record those because my wife asked me, she's like, I mean, you could literally do outtakes and have, I'm just playing. But tell us, Nakia, for people that don't know you, and I know many people do, but just tell us about your background. I'm not going to, and what you want to share as we do this interview.
So I am a native, one of the few natives left in the city. I grew up in Decatur, but of course my family moved to Snellville, where I graduated from South Gwinnett High School. We still hold the record, 33-0.
That's right.
Had a great season. I got my state championship there. So I was a state champion high jumper and have my state. So I'm a dual state champion.
There you go.
Track and field and basketball. I went to University of Kansas, where I played basketball there. I played professionally for 14 years, had an amazing time. 11 of those years were spent in the WNBA. Consecutively, I played overseas as well. And I did a total of 14 years internationally. This is year 6. I cannot believe it. This is year 6 of me being retired.
That's right.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how fast it went. So when I came home, I've just always been an entrepreneur. We talked about this. We both have entrepreneurial spirits. This is my second business. I don't know if you know this, but my first business was a wing deli in Jonesboro.
I think you told me about that. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because Atlanta needed more chicken wing spaces.
Right.
And so I learned a lot about business, what I wanted, what I didn't want from that experience. And so I was doing some research on different industries, fell in love with financial services, and ultimately planted my flag at Primerica Financial Services, which is headquartered here in Duluth. And I've been building my agency ever since and having a good time in the community. Has been really good being back. So I'm really excited to continue doing more in the community as we grow.
Well, you do. I mean, one of my favorite people, and do amazing things. And it's crazy. I feel like I remember sitting with my parents a year ago on my about 10 months ago, my 47th birthday. My dad pulled all these crazy gag gifts. I'm not sure he was trying to say I was an old man. But it was like, what you're saying, 6 years. I'm like, that was 10 months ago. And especially through this crazy time we've all been living in. I don't know about you, Nakia. It seems like I can't remember what day it is.
No, I do. I'm like, okay, Siri, or okay, Google, what day of the week is it? It all runs together. Thank God for technology and reminders and kind of stuff.
I know. Well, I know you're huge on, giving back and making a difference through your business and through your, community endeavors. But what have you seen? I'm going to say I've seen people stepping up and making a difference in this crazy time. I say crazy time because every day things change. But what have you seen or learned about people or yourself, we've had a lot of time to think during this last few months.
So I'll make that twofold. So from a community perspective, I have, like you said, seen people just stepping up. I know I have friends who serve on several boards. One of my favorite nonprofits in Atlanta is Nicholas House. They are a family shelter. Most shelters in Atlanta, if it's a family or if there's a male son, they separate the men from the women and send the son to a totally different shelter, or the husband to a totally different shelter. They're one of the only shelters that allow families to stay together. And that was important for me. So we've been doing a lot there from a volunteer perspective, but I see people handing out food for the students. I've seen people raising money for the elderly. We have a coalition here in our area where we're cleaning up the yards for elderly people who, they just can't get out and do those types of things. So people have been stepping up in a major way. And that's really, really exciting. From a personal perspective, I'm actually excited because most people didn't know what Zoom was. So I was driving, 30 minutes to get, paperwork signed, where I can now do that over the internet in 5. So that's been really exciting. And I don't know about you, but it's also been a heavy time of personal growth because it allowed me to slow down. I think I was busy, but not productive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's caused me to be more productive in this still space. And those are two things that I think have been major during this time.
I love it. Until you've been interviewed a few times in your lifetime, right? You reframe the question because it's exactly what I was looking for in terms of that is how I see things. I see, I see a lot of small businesses that have just been. I mean, we live in America, and when you're told, you can't open, I mean, it's different than anything. I mean, you and I are old enough to go. Okay, 9/11, we went right back to work. But when you say, "Hey, you can't work," and you're just gonna have to wait, it's something none of us have ever seen before.
It's
And
been
say that again.
it's been insane.
Been saying, and so you see small restaurants or whatever. They've had to pivot on the dime and figure out how do you make a sit-down restaurant some carry-out thing. And it's been amazing to see the community come out and night after night and buy the food and people figuring out how to get it done. It's the best to me in business and creativity. Have you seen that?
Oh man, that's so exciting. Like just thinking about all the different innovations that I've seen for restaurants. There's a restaurant here, I can't think of the name, but on Saturdays they have a drive up where you can actually buy like lamb steaks and
Yep.
salmon and so they can get through their stockpiles. And then you also saw a special where a nonprofit raised money to buy food from a restaurant to feed the homeless.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, that's ingenious. So it kept the restaurant in business and it kept the workers cooking. So they're cooking hot prepped meals for the homeless, and it's all funded through grant money. And I was like, genius, right? I know my friends and I, we have made a point, we are blessed to have some discretionary income where we made a point to go to our local restaurants, our favorite spots where we know our waitresses and our bartenders are there and doing different things. And we're ordering takeout and going to the park and eating social distancing. All of our favorite. So people have been creative, and I think people that are in a space where they can contribute are doing their best to do what they can. But the innovation has been insane. Like I love it.
It shows you the best. I mean, I love this country and what it stands for. And you see, we've been pushed into a corner. And I've told people from day one of doing this show, there's been an unknown after an unknown after an unknown. And I was talking to a mayor before there, and they're talking about their plans for 4th of July. And are you going to have it? Are you not going to have it? Every day is different. We know God's in control of it all, but as human beings, myself included, we sit there and go, oh, how do you plan for this if you don't know this? And it was tough, with the 2 magazines I have, Nakia. We had a bunch of events. I mean, these were big events, like a Snellville Days, from way back. That's bam, closed, bam. And so I just assumed when I was interviewing one of the mayors, okay, you'll reschedule. Nope, no more Saturdays left. It's postponed to 2021. And it was the same for Grayson Days. And you just go down the list, and I'm going, golly, I mean, think about all the people impacted by that, right? And it's not life or death, but it's a huge thing if that's your big marketing thing or if that's your big event. So I've seen so many things, and yet I've seen the resilience of our communities, which is all communities, shoulder to shoulder. And I also see, like tonight, I'm going to go to a local place that we support, and I'm going to eat outside in the park with my family, and have some Mexican food, and they have a bus in the city of Lilburn, and support them, because these guys have worked, all of them, feverishly to get back on their feet. And I'm really proud of our communities. I really am.
I am too. And you're right, Ryan. There's a lot of unknowns, but this is what we do know. This too shall pass.
Yes.
And knowing that, it just says, okay, you just got to wake up every day and get through it. And that's what we do know. What we do know is that what makes us Americans is that we're tough and that we get through things and we find ways to come together. And what we see on the news sometimes from a division perspective is not indicative of what's happening in our communities. I mean, nobody cares, right? Red, blue, whatever. Like, we got to get through this. And what I'm seeing, what gets me excited, I get like goosebumps just thinking about it, is the way that people have come together to make sure that they support each other and to make sure that we're keeping our workers, like, listen, without our local workers, like the cities would come to a halt. Like, we don't realize how much we're dependent on, our staff sometimes. So I'm just excited. You gotta tell me, where's this food truck?
Yeah, well, the food trucks is it's called Agravera Cantina, and they're in the city of Lilburn. It's a park, and they have different Mexican restaurants, but they have created this bus where and you can sit on it, but they also made it out for outdoor seating, and then it's right by the Lilburn City Park. And I've not been over there, and then one of
Oh
the
wow.
owners is a friend of mine, but I'm going to go tonight. And they're just doing everything right. I was taking a walk about a week ago, and people were all poking to see if they could, they were open. But the minute, entrepreneurs, I mean, I agree with you. You know this from being in the public spotlight. There's always that 1 or 2% that want to, and for example, we have a magazine, Our Town, that has the blue at the top and one that has the green at the top. And I had somebody on a Facebook post write to me like, is the blue and the green some political statement? And I'm going,
Blue and green.
it's just two different editions, right? I mean, it's because blue is my favorite color, and I needed another color years ago. I mean, it could have been purple. It had no, but I was like, do you have a lot of time in your hands? Because so, but for every one of those, there's 50 people, like you said, never reported, that are doing things like this, that are making a difference, that are changing things. So I want to ask you a business question, and I know what you're going to say. Do you think business will change, like you were talking about, these things that can be done through Zoom? It doesn't replace the human relationship in any means, but simple things that can be done through something like Zoom, that we felt we had to go sit down because of this time period.
Oh yeah. And I cannot. I'm so challenged right now to find this quote. I heard it was a Einstein quote about what happens in the middle of adversity.
Okay.
And I can't think of what it is,
Sorry.
but I think from a business perspective, what we're going to see is people who don't adapt, and they'll be out of business.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you have people who do adapt and then expand their businesses because they took advantage of this time period. And I definitely want to be one of those people that adapt. So what it's allowing, I know for me personally, we're licensed in 7 different states. It's allowing me to be front facing for a lot of our clients, and especially from an investment perspective. Like, that just opened up a whole lot of doors for me. Whereas other people are like, oh, I can't get out and shake hands and kiss babies. So, and I'm a shake hands and kiss baby person and rub the puppies and pet the kids. And so it's been challenging, but I think what we will see is innovation. I think what we'll see is businesses that actually explode out of this challenge. And what I also think we'll see is more entrepreneurs, because can you imagine being titled non-essential and going, oh shoot, I better figure something out.
Well, it's funny you say that, because every time we were talking about my Marketing Matters radio show before we went on air, and every time I've ever brought it, it's a bunch of entrepreneurs for the most part. And they say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, until all this started. They're like, I'm glad I'm not an entrepreneur, and I have my insert whatever, military, school. My wife's a teacher. Don't get me wrong. There's a place for everything. But I looked at it like you, Nakia. How do I double down and make something even better? So in my mind, without even realizing it, and I'm not going to say it all right now, but in the last few months, I've kind of taken everything I've had, back in the back of my mind I haven't gotten to, and thought, I'm going to make something even better. And that's where this show came from, as an example. And we blessed to have people like you. But I told you, we'll have 35 shows up in a couple months. But people telling these great stories with encouragement, it doesn't mean, we have a vaccine. It doesn't mean, but for the most part, people are doing the right things, and they don't have to have the government tell them, don't go up and, cough on somebody, and, keep your distance and be prudent. And I think for the most part of what I see, people are doing those things.
For the most part. Now, I will say, I don't know how rated this show is.
That's all right. We don't have a rating code. We're like Ozark.
I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna say this. Like, there are some people that are assholes.
Yep.
And they're walking around to prove a point that, and it's like, for me, I have a great immune system. I'm not concerned. But I don't want to be the asshole that gets somebody else sick because I'm carrying it. So I wear my daggone mask when I'm out. I'm social distancing from my grandma. God forbid I be the one, right?
Yep. Right.
But I think, to your point, most people are responsible citizens.
Yeah.
I don't care what the news says. Most of us are responsible citizens, and we care about our neighbor. That is the truth of the matter. But there are some outliers.
No, there are. They're just deliberately, but
that small percentage.
Yeah, right? and they're just deliberately. I mean, it's just like, it'd be like, I remember years ago, my youngest daughter was little. I was speaking down in Orlando, and we were staying right off outside of Disney at a pool, and these whatever they were, teenagers, spring breakers from college. They had overtaken the pool to the degree with throwing stuff. In other words, they weren't behaving in any kind of manner that's even remotely appropriate. This was just a family hotel. It just happened. They crashed it. So, and there's always, and there's people that do this stuff but when I'm out taking my walks, Nakia, I just wave with a friend and then I walk to the opposite side, to the sidewalk, and because I don't want somebody to see, why is he standing right on top of them? I don't want to be that person either. But yeah, I agree with you. You see some of those people but we also know there's no way as humans we're going to please everybody. We just got to do our part and challenge other people to do their part. But so I just want to say, so tell us a little bit if they want to get in touch with you about Primerica, any things that just consultating or whatever. Is there a special way or best way to reach you?
Call me, email me. I can reach at sanfordagency@gmail.com, and my phone number is 678-888-2094. That's 678-888-2094. But really, for the most part, I encourage everybody to reach out on Facebook and Instagram. I'm always posting a lot of interesting stuff. Everybody says, I think I know your mom. Like most people love my mom. But, I like to connect with people generically. We do a lot. We're fully licensed to handle anything to do with money. We handle it. We're even back in the mortgage game now. So,
and I think it's important, and I'll endorse you with that and say that people talk to people, because there's people, I've continued with personally dollar cost averaging everything I'm doing, but there's also people that just panic and start, making decisions out of panic. And I think it's wise to talk to someone you trust, and you're that kind of person, Nakia, that can at least listen to them and or your team, and listen to them and kind of maybe see how you can help them or guide them in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking to a lady. She's about 5 years from retirement. We're taking a look at where she is, and she had stopped her contributions to her company 401k. I'm like, they're matching you dollar for dollar.
Right.
Like,
free money.
Restart that. She was like, but I'm not money. I was like, no. So I want to get into that conversation.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm heard about that stuff, but it's important that people have someone that they can just call. And I'm the neighborhood go-to for a lot of those conversations. Whether you're a client or not, I'm always open to a conversation.
Perfect. Well, I know we talked before air, and I appreciate you taking time to connect with me. And I thank you for all you do as a person, and you're such a great role model for so many people. Still, I got to stretch my back out, but we're still gonna have that dunk competition. But I think at 47, we need to put that goal down for like 8 feet for me. Okay, that's.
I turned 44 last week.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
That's you won. You won.
You know what? Well, let's play horse. I can still shoot now. Come on. I went to my chiropractor's. We closed. I came home the other day. I got to make this funny as we close. And he pops my wrist back into place. I said, I heard this with tennis elbow. I heard this years ago, this tendon. And this is from basketball. And he's like, so he gives me all the KT tape. And I come home. My kid's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, y'all beat me in horse the other end. I can make that shot. I said, that's what I did. I shot. And with 3 daughters, they're super competitive. They play soccer. And they're like, Dad is okay. If you need to win that bad, I'm like, I do. I hate to lose. But all right, Nakia Sanford. Well, thank you for coming on the Community Connection Show. I sure appreciate it, my friend.
Thanks, friend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, cool. Thanks, folks. That's been another Community Connection with Ryan Sauers, special guest Nakia Sanford. And we will see you again next time.